Hi everybody, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Scott Lyman, and I'm a senior at McKendree, and I am majoring in health and wellness, as well as a minor in sports psychology. So today I'd like to talk to you about circadian health. Now, what is circadian health? Here's a little hint. Now, if your initial thought was light and darkness, then you're exactly correct. Circadian health is a new and emerging trend in the health and wellness field, and we're working on shifting our focus from sleep to true circadian health. Our new main focus is about controlling light exposure and controlling other important factors as well. And in order to do this, we need to start making behavioral and lifestyle changes in order to optimize our circadian systems. Now, how does our circadian system even work? As most of you know from old science classes, biology classes, most organisms have biological clocks. And this is defined as an internal clock that is controlled by proteins that interact with cells. And this reaction produces our circadian rhythms and regulates our timing throughout the day. Now, a lot of this is done in the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain. And this is a bundle of nearly 20,000 neurons receiving input from the eyes. Now, our input from the eyes is all about our environmental factors. What's in our surroundings and how much light are we taking in or are we not taking in? A lot of this has to do with our timing of the day, which I think this illustration demonstrates pretty well. Around midnight, past midnight, 2 to 3 a.m., we're in our deepest sleep. And then we get to our lowest body temperature as we approach 6 a.m. Around 7 a.m., this is when our melatonin secretion stops. And usually around this time, people are getting ready for work, or they're getting the kids ready for school, and we're getting ready for the day. And what gives us some of that energy in the morning is that our testosterone starts to secrete, and we're at our highest alertness. As we go past noon, we start to get into our best coordination and fastest reaction time around 3 to 4 p.m. And around 5 p.m., we get to our greatest cardiovascular efficiency and muscle strength. This always makes me think of how people are able to still have that energy to go to the gym after work and do things after school, and that we still have all the energy from that due to our circadian system. Now, as we approach the later evening, this is when we kind of start to wind down, and around 10 p.m., our melatonin secretion starts, and this is when we start to feel a little bit more sleepy, just to start the process all over again the next day. Now, some of you may be wondering, why is this just now becoming a trend if we've known about it for a while? Well, our main focus, like I said, was on sleep. And right now, there's currently a $230 billion sleep market, yet sleep quality and quantity is still never satisfied in many situations. We need to focus on everything throughout the day and realize that sleep doesn't revolve around only what happens at night. And doing this, we can improve many other areas in our life as well besides sleep. We can improve our hormone release. We can improve our eating habits and digestion, which aids in weight management. And then we can improve our body temperature as well and the regulation for that. Now, the goal of this trend is to get people to have better quality sleep, but also function throughout the day and be more efficient. While this trend is still fairly new, there's a lot of new developments of support coming out. And through this research, we're seeing more industrial improvements as far as technology. And some of this includes wearable devices, and some of these devices are starting to read our biometric measurements throughout the day, and using certain algorithms, it can tell us on our phones when we should be prioritizing sleep, when we should be prioritizing bright light, or when we should be avoiding light as well. And another thing that is helping a lot in these times is automatic dimmers. Now, many people know of smart speakers and Alexa and the Google Homes. Now we're starting to have smart light bulbs. So what you can do with these smart light bulbs is you can program them to start dimming as time goes on throughout the day in order to keep your melatonin secretion regulated. Next is the blue and red light filters, and during this time of online gaming and things like that, I think this is very important to be able to filter out these lights and kind of do things without major repercussions is a huge advancement in this trend, and I think people should be taking advantage of these certain items as long as they're not too expensive and can be affordable. And the last one is thermal regulation. This has to do with, industries who create blankets, comforters, and mattresses. You see all these things now that are saying you can control certain sides of the bed or even just the whole temperature of the bed itself. And this is super important because most people sleep a lot better when there's in a cool environment. Whereas during the summer and hot and humid places, it's kind of hard to get a sleep at night when it's cool out because you don't want to be running your AC constantly. So these new advancements in the sleep industry can really aid towards our circadian health in general. Now, throughout the day, we can change things as well, and these will be considered our lifestyle changes. A lot of people are starting to incorporate technology cutoffs. So when it gets to a certain time at night, this is when the family, or even if you're just by yourself, they'll cut off technology maybe around 8 p.m., about 2 hours before bedtime, whenever that may be. And this is supposed to help reduce the blue light. Even if you have blue light filters, it doesn't filter out 100%. And you're still stimulating your mind with that. So maybe incorporating activities such as puzzles or reading a book, this can kind of help regulate that system as you start to wind down. And next is window availability. Now, depending on your location and where you live, if someone lives in more of a basement environment, then there might not be as much light exposure. Now, these people would be suspected to sleep more and not have as much energy throughout the day because they're not having that much natural light. Whereas then other people who have the opportunity to do this, they're incorporating more windows throughout their house, especially if they're building more houses, and even sunroofs and things like that, to where they can allow more natural light in. And this helps our function throughout the day, and we don't have to rely on light bulbs and things like that. And then lastly is changing eating times according to our circadian system. Now, this can be an important thing for weight management as well, because as we know, we don't want to eat right before bedtime. So if we can find out our circadian rhythm and how our system works, then we can change our eating times to incorporate when we're supposed to be having our meals throughout the day. Now, some of you may be thinking this is hard to do when I'm traveling or I travel too much for business. Well, thanks to Dr. Lockley, a circadian science expert for NASA astronauts, he has developed an app that regulates your light exposure when traveling. And this app is called Time Shifter. This app calculates your normal schedule with your new travel schedule. Now, this app is revolved around the effects of jet lag, and mainly based off of astronauts, but this revolves around many working class people as well. As we know, jet lag can affect us for quite some time, and some people adapt more quickly than others. However, if someone does not adapt very quickly on their own, using this app may be more beneficial if they're only going to be traveling for a weekend or something like that. So this app can also tell you when to prioritize your bright lights, when to avoid light, and then also when you should consume your normal melatonin or caffeine doses if you take those. So the future of circadian health is looking very promising. Experts are looking at biometric measurements of markers in blood and urine in order to determine our true internal clock, and this can provide us with better timing for our medications. As we all know, medications can make us drowsy, or even some of us will have more energy after taking some medications. So if we know all of these measurements, then we can be able to take these medicines without interrupting our circadian system. Also along in the future is adaptations in just our normal society. And this can revolve around solar times for school and work environments, our age chronotypes, so prioritizing our circadian systems for the majority of the age group that you're working with in whatever environment you may be in. And then also the seasons as well. As we know, in the Midwest, our summers, we have a lot longer time for sunlight, and it's usually bright out until around 7:30. And then as we get into the winter time zone, it's almost completely dark by 5:30 p.m. So using these adaptations, we can fix our schedules in order to incorporate our circadian systems. And lastly, I firmly believe that circadian health will be about reforming the idea of sleep and prioritizing our circadian rhythms. We need to educate people that this is not just for sleep. This is about being productive throughout the day and optimizing our entire system. So teaching people that we should not only be focused on sleep at nighttime, and that it should be a 24/7 thought process. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you stay safe and healthy out there.